Hello everyone, this is Jotto and welcome to the Hearthstone Weekly Show, episode number 73. And this week, me and my teammate Manuel, say hi.
Hi everyone.
We'll be going over more Goblins and Gnomes cards. There are 5 in the last week, which is quite fast for Blizzard.
Yeah, I'm really excited about these cards.
They spoiled them really quickly. It was supposed to be 3 every week, and then there was a leaked one, then there was another leaked one, and they were like, whatever. We won't take them down, because if we take them down, everyone knows they're real. So
yeah,
they were
I'm
just
a little
like...
bit impressed about Blizzard by that.
Yeah, it's just funny. I think the difference was they're in spoiler season already. So if some cards get leaked, they're just like, well, whatever. There's no point really defending it. But, yeah, it went pretty okay, but as some of you may be able to tell by the fact that my voice still isn't quite normal, I've been ill for the last week. That's why there haven't been any videos. I was going to do Versus Series and I couldn't. I just couldn't talk for more than 10 minutes. I'm still coughing every so often, so I'm going to mute myself on recording. Whenever I do, poor Manuel's still going to have to hear me though, since we're on Skype while doing this. But yeah, that's just going to be a thing. But the Versus Series, which was supposed to be this week, is going to be next week. So I'm going to be a week behind for the rest of whenever. But they are going to come out. I've already edited all the things together. I just haven't done the commentary yet. So that will be out next week. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the actual video, shall we? So, starting with, keep in mind, these will be in chronological order. So the first card that was spoiled this week was the Goblin auto-barber. It is a 2-mana, that's the best name ever by the way. It's a 2-mana 3/2 mech rogue specific card, and it is a mech with a battle cry, give your weapon +1 attack. This is like a deadly poison effect. This is weird.
Yeah, it's a weird card. Like, I mean, I don't really see it being played in Miracle, but I guess it's some like weird tempo mech rogue.
Yeah, the problem with rogue is that there's not a critical mass of tempo cards, so if it's not good enough for Miracle, it just doesn't see play at all.
Yeah, that's completely true.
In Arena, it's ridiculous, but that's a different story, because it's just a 2-drop that just 2-for-1s people. But in Constructed, what may happen, and I'm expecting this to happen, is Miracle Mech, which is going to be like a tempo deck that uses the spare parts as an excuse to play more mechs than spells with Gadgetan. That's what I'm expecting. Yeah, with
Clockwork Gnomes.
Because Conceal in an aggro deck is already insane. So you can still play it.
And the thing about this card is that most 2-drops will like suck later on, but this really isn't that bad late game.
It's bad early game, funnily enough. Like really early game, it's not a 2-drop.
Yeah. I mean, if you played on like turn 5 or something and you kill something because of the effect, it still gets a lot of value.
Yeah, it does. That's true. It's half a deadly poison.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad card.
I mean, it works with Blade Flurry. It 2 actually kills a lot of things. I mean, you can actually you could, in theory, coin Dagger into this, but I don't know. It doesn't kill Undertaker is the problem.
Yeah, but then your opponent knows you have it.
Yeah, but it's like, they can't play around it. Actually, something, if you're going second, if you're playing like a mech deck, so you need word position early, and you don't have a 1-drop, if you don't have Undertaker, coin Death Rattle, and your opponent plays Undertaker, you can actually coin your Dagger, hit the Undertaker, and then auto-barber and kill it, no matter if they have a Death Rattle or not.
Yeah, you just take a lot of damage.
You take 4.
Yeah.
That's okay for killing an Undertaker.
Yeah, because like killing Undertaker as rogue right now is really hard when they Undertaker coin Leper Gnome.
You need backstab and weapon. It's horrible.
Yeah, so you have to spend your whole turn backstab and then weapon and then you lose tempo. But with this, you get a minion on board.
Mm-hmm.
So that could actually help against Undertaker and aggro decks.
Yeah,
because
it's like,
you still get tempo.
I mean, if they're going first, you can backstab it, but the point is, like, if you don't have the backstab, you're pretty much screwed. playing against Undertaker if you don't have the backstab. That's why Shaman's really good against Undertaker decks, because they have 4 reliable ways of killing Undertaker on turn 1.
Yeah, and Miracle has 1 backstab.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
So with this card, I mean, it could be played in Miracle, but I see it more as like a tempo mech kind of card that would be played in that to get tempo back early. And it just 2-for-1s probably. At least.
I mean, you get 2 swings with your dagger, so it's gonna probably kill something. It'd be very good against Shaman. Being able to just take out 2 totems without using anything really. That's actually pretty good, being able to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that Blizzard's adding a card like this. It's not really something they've added before.
It seems weirdly positioned.
Yeah, it's just like rogues already have deadly poison. It just seemed kind of weird that they would want to add this, but it's a good card.
The most relevant thing about this is it's a mech. That's why I'm saying, like, to be honest, if it was not a mech, this would not see play. Because you need incentive to play a tempo deck, and I think the mech engine is going to be the incentive to play a tempo deck, because they've said there will be more ways of getting spare parts, and the 2 they've already revealed would be played in a tempo rogue deck, because one of them's a 1-drop that gives you a spell for free, and the other one's a 3-mana 4/4 gives you a spell. I don't know why they made that card, to be honest, Tinkertown. That's way too good. But the point is, you'll have a lot of spare parts in your deck, and Conceal is good with the mechs anyway, because they have like synergistic effects. So you can Conceal, keep your board. So you can just play, you could literally just play a mech deck with 2 Gadget Hands and then like some preps, a Conceal, and a couple Shivs, and like a Deadly Poison Blade Flurry or something.
Yeah, that's what I think people are going to try. And I'm sure people will try to fit in Mimron's head with Conceal.
It's better than Edwin in a deck that doesn't really want to be playing massive combos in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Because it just wins the game sometimes. Like Edwin Van Cleef, this is what's funny. Edwin Van Cleef actually does not cost 3 mana. He costs more like 5 or 6. Because the spells you played, you would not have played if you didn't have the Cleef. So
yeah, usually he takes up at least like 4 cards, like, and then he just dies. Usually,
Myrmidon's Head is also a 4-attack minion, which is relevant against Priest, because if they want to go ahead and steal your Myrmidon and spend like a massive amount of time doing it or paint it, then that's actually pretty relevant if you already had the mechs on the board, because they're not focusing on those. And also, Voltron is pretty much unkillable for Priest unless they have some Shrinkmeister combo.
And he's 5 health, so he doesn't die to Arcanine Circle if you Conceal him.
Exactly. So
which is really important.
He doesn't die to Arcanine Circle and then you Hero Power the Arcanine. So, like, too many people are focusing on his effect, but if you put, like, this whole Miracle Mech deck, which me and Dapper were talking about a bit last week, is kind of coming together a bit more. Like, auto-barber has just come out. There's a couple of other things which are suggesting that there'll be some sort of mech tempo deck that you can throw together in Rogue. So there's going to be something else. Not to mention, they said there was going to be like a mech synergy card. I'm not sure if this is the one for Rogue, so there may be another Rogue card that benefits mechs. Because the mage one is the 5/4 that gets missiles if you have a mech, but that isn't a mech. So they said there was going to be one card for each class that benefits mechs. So I'm guessing there's going to be another rogue card that's good with the whole mech engine.
Yeah, they're gonna want you to put more mechs in your deck, and then they want you to put cards that benefit from having mechs on board.
So I think Myrmidon's Head, if it doesn't see, like, it probably won't see any play in a lot of other decks, but in Rogue, if you're running Conceal already and you're running a tempo deck, like, auto-barber fits perfectly into that kind of deck. Benefits Blade Flurry and benefits keeping board position early in the game. It's like literally perfect in a tempo deck running Gadget Sands.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like an SI agent.
For 2 mana,
because, because you kill a minion, basically.
It's actually just a 2 mana version. The effect isn't as powerful, but it costs less.
Yeah, which is really important. Because with all the cards that are coming out, it seemed like aggro was going to be really good.
This does stop aggro.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to be able to play this on turn 2 and just hopefully 2 for 1, 3 for 1 them from this card.
This is also a reason to play Rogue in another reason to play Rogue in Arena. It's a common. This thing's a common. You might get 3 or 4 of them in Arena, which is just ridiculous.
This
Like,
card would be insane in Arena.
exactly. Like, that's what a lot of people have been talking about, because Rogue already had Defias, where if you go second, it's, like, insane in Arena. Because you just get extra value. So now you have a bunch of 2-drops that just get ridiculous value when you play them. And a 2-mana 3/2 is good in that format already.
Yeah, because people always pick 2-mana 3/2s in Arena.
And this
like,
is actually
just
way
amazing.
better. This is way better than 2-mana 3/2 because it's good late
This
game
might
as well.
be the best 2-drop in Arena, besides Knife Juggler.
It depends on the class you're playing. Like, if you have a couple of secrets, Mad Scientist is pretty stupid.
Oh yeah, Mad Scientist is good, but I mean, the chance of that dream is so slim.
Well, I mean, like, I've seen 1 Mad Scientist and, like, 2 secrets and a Hunter. It works. The other one is Shaman. If they have Flame Tongue Totems are ridiculous in Arena.
Oh yeah.
So, there's a couple. But anyway, this is a top contender. Yes, no, top contender. But anyway, so we pretty much talked about this card to death, apart from the fact that he has a hairdo made of weapons. That's just awesome.
Yeah, he looks weird.
He's an auto-barber. But anyway, moving on to the Sapper. Now, the Sapper is a 3-mana 2/4 rare. Thank you for being rare, by the way, because this caused some stupid things in Arena. Has +4 attack when your opponent has 6 or more cards in his hand. Now, first people were saying, it's like, oh, Handlock's dead, and I'm like, Handlock's already dead with this set. Like,
This card is really weird.
it's an anti-priest card, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, like,
I don't like
Blizzard's
it.
adding all these anti-handlock cards, and they're trying to make Mill viable.
It is an incentive to play Mill along the Clockwork Giant. Like, getting in for 6 damage on a 3-drop is a lot. Like, that, it does hit really hard if you're running a Mill deck.
It seems more of like a sideboard card
It does, yeah.
against
like
handlock.
Like Clockwork Giant. Clockwork Giant is
Yeah.
like the best sideboard card in the game against Handlock because it's always faster than Mountain Giant. It cannot be slower.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is you can't control it.
Yeah, but
So-
you can't control that, and if your opponent has the Ancient Watcher start, then he's not doing much. But it still gets to a point when they can't play a Mountain. So it's. I mean, Clockwork Giant has a lot more play to it than this card, though. I could see this, like, Mill decks, getting them to 6 cards is way easier than getting them to, like, 8.
Oh yeah, it's way easier.
And if they're playing, like, you could actually prep Vanish Sapper, and they cannot lower their hand size. They just can't. Like, that's actually a thing. Vanish is... Oh, it's never been a staple in Mill decks, because there hasn't been something based on hand size. So, returning a bunch of stuff to their hand and filling their hand up doesn't do much, apart from just mill them slightly, but they're not drawing their deck. Whereas this set's adding incentives to mill decks, where as opposed to destroying their deck, you're just doing more stuff. Which I prefer, to be honest.
Yeah, you get a big minion out, and you like and you return everything to their hand. So that's pretty insane.
If you get it off, being the key thing.
Yeah, but it's kind of a gimmicky thing, and it's really bad for his hunter and zoo.
Yeah, that's the problem with mill decks, and the reason why they're like... But I think if they add a few more tools, there'll probably be some sort of tournament viable mill deck that literally just preys on control decks, because they don't even have to... Like, Sapper is a good anti-control card, especially against Priest. They can't really kill it, apart from Shadow Word Death, which they do not want to use on a 3-drop. And, or Orkanai Circle combo. But then if you have a Sapper on the board, you don't need to invest more into the board. So it's kind of a 1-for-1 or even a 2-for-1 in favor of you. And
It's actually a really good anti-control card, kind
it kills
of. Because
cultists.
yeah, because like control decks, they love card advantage. They like to keep cards in their hand. They don't want to just use all their cards when they can, like Zoo or Hunter.
Yeah, exactly. They want to have the opportune moment. This is really bad against Warlock in general, though. Like, even if you've milled them a bunch, you're just like, Soulfire, lower my hand size by 2, kill the Sapper.
Yeah.
It's like really bad against Warlock. That's why I don't like it against Handlock at all, because they usually have 8 cards in their hand. So instead of tapping, they just soulfire it, and you're like, well, if I play my Mukla, they play a giant, and and like, and if I don't play anything, then they just tap again, and then they play the giant next turn.
Yeah, and the stats aren't that bad. I mean, especially when you get this effect. I mean, a 6/4 is pretty good for 3 mana.
This is decent in Arena. In Arena, this is actually decent because a lot more people pick up cards like Arcane Intellect, Nourish, things like that.
Yeah,
so
because
they do have large hand size sometimes.
Yeah, because the card advantage in Arena is insane too.
Also, 3/2s for 2 are very popular in that format.
Yeah, so this can trade with a 3/2 and not die.
Exactly. 2/4s for 3 are much more important in formats where there's a lot more 3/2s. Although, obviously, Mage and Rogue are very popular in those formats. But the point is that in Constructed, there's a lot of 2/3s. And that, especially with Mech Warper coming out, there's a lot of 2/3s, there's a lot of on-curve stuff, a lot of ways of getting extra value out of your 1s and 2 drops. And this card is, like, the worst anti-Undertaker card in existence. Like, you play it and they're just like, Death Rattle, eat it.
Yeah.
Undertaker is broken. I think we can just establish this. It's getting worse. That's the funny thing. Undertaker was, like, the only... Lotheb was not a mistake. It was the most powerful card out of the set, but it wasn't a mistake because it stops you from doing unfun things.
Yeah, you need a Lotheb.
But Undertaker was just released, and it's just like, you can't push a 1-drop that far. And it's getting worse because they're adding more Death Rattles.
Yeah, that the 2/1 gnome that gives you a spare part is gonna be so good with Undertaker.
It was a battle cry originally, and apparently it was a mistake, and it was actually Death Rattle, and then everyone was like, no.
I kind of preferred it as the battle cry because of Undertaker.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been cool. But the point is, like, Undertaker's going to come into the discussion a lot whenever we look at any of these cards. This card's really bad against Undertaker decks, and to be honest, I think Undertaker Mech is going to be, like, the most popular archetype. And it won't even be a specific class. A lot of classes will be able to get this engine to work.
I think Zoo and Hunter are going to be the main ones.
Hunter,
I can see Priest trying it.
Well, Hunter has an extra Death Rattle they can play on 1.
Yeah.
But the point is that Hunter, if they play a lot of mechs, they weaken their beast synergies. So they can't really, utilize...
And Web Spinner.
I mean, they still have... Hunter isn't getting that much stronger, to be honest. Unless they, like, give a lot of really good stuff. Because if you think about it, they have to run beasts. And everyone else is just going to be running their Undertaker variants with mechs. And the mech version is just stronger from what we've seen so far.
I think the Undertaker versions are going to be good in, like, every deck.
Priest is absurd with the mechs now because they have that stupid 5/5 that gives 4 life to a mech. So, Undertaker is going to be in the discussion almost everywhere. They're going to have to nerf it at some point. They said they're keeping an eye on it along with Gadget Tanks and spare parts, but I'm betting that card gets nerfed at some point. It's
I wonder if Auctioneer was the reason why the spare parts weren't, like, 0 mana.
Oh, yeah. You could not... I mean, to be honest, if they were 0 mana, they'd be broken, because if you put them on a battle cry... Like, think about it. Tinkertown... If you have 3 mana, 4/4 battle cry, get a spare part that costs 0.
Yeah. It's just some of these cards aren't really worth 1 mana. The spare parts, like...
The point is you get them for free.
Yeah. So that's always good.
Anyway, on to the next card, which is also a 3 mana 2/4. So Goblin Sapper... Okay in Arena because it's a 2/4. In Constructed it's a bit weird. It's a basic overview there. The Illuminator, one of the most overhyped cards in the entire set. This has been hyped up by so many people and I don't get it. At all.
I think this card is awful.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 3 mana 2/4. It's a rare, because again, they don't want to make 3 mana 2/4s common in Arena, but then Spider Tank is a common... Whatever. If you control a secret at the end of your turn, you get to heal for 4. Now, I just want to say, people have been saying, yeah, it's life gain in secret decks. And I'm like, name a single secret deck that wants this effect, that can fit it in the deck.
None.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no room in Freeze Mage.
Like, people saying, oh, Freeze Mage can use it. And I'm like, they have problems fitting fireballs in that deck. You do not...
I mean... I would rather run Kona Cold than this card in Freeze Mage.
It actually gains you more life if you think about it. But then people are saying, oh, Secrets Mage. And I'm like, Secrets Mage doesn't care about their life total. If they're at a point when they need to gain life, they just play Earthen Ring because they're running a duplicate in their deck. Or they just beat you to death with better 3-drops. And there are really good 3-drops in Mage. Like Arcane Intellect is at 3. Kirintor is at 3 with all the secrets. And there might be another secret in the set, we don't know. And Kirintor got way better because of Mad Scientist, because with Mad Scientist in your deck, you need to play Secrets, and if you're playing Secrets, Kirintor makes sense. It's basically what happened there. So, Kirintor, better than this. Spider Tank, better than this. Like, Harvest Golem is better than this. It's just, I don't like it. And in Hunter, it's useless.
Yeah, because Hunter doesn't care about their health.
Paladin don't have secrets, I don't care what anyone says.
If Paladin had better secrets, maybe Paladin would like this card because they care about healing.
They have like the worst secrets not close.
Yeah. If they had good secrets that weren't easy to pop.
Their secrets, like I've seen Paladin Mad Scientist decks and I've seen people playing them and it's like, what do you mulligan? All of the secrets, always. You do not want them in your hand. If you get them off Mad Scientist, it's good. If you draw them, you want to kill yourself. It's just like, you don't want to play them. They're not worth a card. It's just horrible. But, yeah, so Paladin Secrets never really come into the agenda, not to mention they don't need a 3-mana 2/4 that heals them.
No, they really don't.
It's like, yeah, you play this into True Silver, and then True Silver doesn't even heal you because you're at 30 life.
Yeah, so this card is not going to see any play, I don't think.
Arena, it's decent. Gives sustain to...
I mean, it's a 2/4.
Mage actually does play Secrets in Arena quite often, because some of them are pretty good. So, you get some sustain. That's a thing.
I mean, the one good thing Blizzard is doing recently is that they're making the minions, like, high health. A lot of them. Like, I don't know if they got too much complaints about everything, like, before Nax, but, like, since Nax, we've gotten, like, Zombie Chow, we've gotten, like, 2 3-mana 2/4, the 3-mana 3/4.
They're trying to make spells worse.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing. Like... That's okay with me though, because like I've been through when Freeze Mage, Frozen Giants was like the strongest deck for 3 weeks, and then they nerfed it very quickly. I've been through Miracle Rogue in all 4 iterations, when it like dominated for 4 months. Like,
it was unbeatable.
It's been unbeatable 4 times. They just refuse to nerf gadgets. They like Miracle Rogue has this weird cycle where it's overpowered. They nerf the cards that make it overpowered, but then they find another way of being overpowered because Gadgetzan, and they do it again and again and again. They keep nerfing Rogue. Rogue has been nerfed almost as much as Druid at this point, which is just hilarious. And it's pretty funny. They keep nerfing everything that isn't Gadgetzan, but nowadays I think Miracle is actually getting into a point where Miracle is less about comboing and more about using Gadgetzan Draw Engine in a tempo deck. I'm okay with
Violet
this.
Teachers.
I am okay with that kind of thing. It's still annoying, but the point is that you're not... Miracle has changed from a situation where they play Gadgetzan and Conceal, draw their deck, and kill you instantly, there's nothing you can do about it, to a deck where they just try and value you out. And that's okay. Having a deck based around value is fine. Having a deck that has no interaction whatsoever is not fine, and it was because the spells were too good. And then they made Loatheb, they made all these higher HP creatures. Like, before Nax, if you played an aggro deck against Miracle Rogue, they just laughed at you. Like, SI7 killed 2 guys, Blade Flurry killed your entire board. Like, they just had so many ways of beating aggro decks, but the HP levels have been going up on a lot of things, where 3-mana 2/4s used to be overpowered, although I think that was an over-nerf on Dalaran Mage, personally. And nowadays, they're starting to make things with higher life and stats at lower mana costs, because they realized that 1-drops were terrible for a time. They were really bad. 2-drops weren't that good until Mad Scientist and Haunted Creeper came out. So they're trying to make lower drops matter more, which I'm okay with, because it means that spell decks are not as over-dominating.
Yeah, and they added a lot of sticky minions that hurts Miracle. Like the Creeper and stuff are just so much better than River Croc.
It also made Shaman much better, where Shaman was
Yeah.
just terrible, but now because they have the totems, they have Flame Tongue, they do a lot of extra trading with minions, so they don't get 2-for-1 when removing things. So there's a couple things they're working on, and their general direction is really nice. From what I can tell, it's really good. I really like where they're going. I mean, Loatheb is just going to be the guy like... Loatheb is like the most overpowered card besides Undertaker they've made in a long time. But the point is, it's so overpowered that you're not allowed to do anything silly, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Lotheb's design. I mean, it kind of goes against their, like, philosophy, like, where they don't want you to mess up your opponent's turn. Because they got rid of Illidan's effect, which was, like, discard cards.
It was discard 3, draw 3 on both players.
Yeah, and they thought that was unfun, and Lotheb, it's kind of unfun, but Auctioneer is more unfun for the other player, so...
Yeah, so is, like, getting your board destroyed by, like, a wild Pyromancer combo. Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're fine with Lotheb being good. I'll put it that way.
Lotheb's a perfect card.
Basically, he's overpowered, but he's basically perfect design-wise. And the point is, they're making... Like, if you just notice at the 3 we've just been over, like, Illuminator and Sapper aren't fantastic, but the point is the stats are getting slightly larger on everything, because they want Lotheb to be, like, the marquee. He has to be too good, otherwise, like, spell decks come back that just want to ruin your day. But the point is that you don't want him to just break the game wide open, which is what he did when he came out in Wing 2. People are like, hey, if I just go 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, coin Lotheb, you lose! Because you didn't have any, like, aggro stops. But then Zombie Chow came out, and then so did, like, people started figuring out Undertaker and things like that. So as the game got faster, it's actually become more creature-based, and that's what they're aiming for. So,
Which is good.
Yeah, it's good. And, yeah. Now, speaking of fast, on to the next card. This is the card that was voted on. What they're doing is they're doing this voting thing where they have a voting system for the community gets to pick the next card revealed, and you get the art, and you get whether it's a spell and the rarity. So if I just go back onto the front page here, for the Druid and Shaman one right now, there's 2 epic spells. One is a Druid, one is a Shaman. And this one is the closest one we've had so far. This is as far as it's got, and it's at 51% 49. This is like the biggest gap that's happened in this voting one, because they both look awesome and they're both spells and things like that. But for the Gnome, for Shieldmaiden, there was a pirate. There was a Goblin pirate for Rogue as a class card. And the Goblin pirate was winning. And then randomly, people were just like, yeah, let's go for the Gnome in tier 6 armor on a 6-drop, by the way. Nice touch there, Blizzard. And then they get this card out, and it's like a 6-mana 5/5 that heals for 5. And most of the people in the community were like, you know what, guys, you deserve it. You voted for a Gnome. This is just on the comments. I'm just like, yeah, this is one of the this is the most boring card they've spoiled so far, I think.
Yeah, it is. Like, all the other cards seem to have more flavor.
This is just like, hey, I'm a well, I mean, in Magic they say color shifted. I guess like class shifted Guardian of Kings.
It's better than Guardian.
It's way better than Guardian, but the point is, like,
because
it's
the armor's better.
Well, armor's better. It also, like, whoop-de-doo, you lose 1 health for, like, you basically lose 1 health, 1 heal for 1 mana, which is fine. That is absolutely fine. And armor is better than health. Anyway, you can heal yourself above 30, and you can shield slam. So, the funny thing about this card is I actually don't know, like, the card is not bad. A lot of people are saying, oh, the card is terrible. It's actually not bad, it's just everyone overreacted because the card is really underwhelming. But, it's not bad. The problem with this card is that if you put it in warrior control, it makes your good matchups better and your bad matchups worse because it's replacing other 6-drops that help with the bad matchups. And
this card's weird.
In Tempo Warrior, people are like, oh, you play in Tempo Warrior, and I'm like, no, because if you're playing Tempo Warrior, you're playing mechs, and if you're playing mechs, you play Sky Golem instead, because it hits harder, and it's harder to get rid of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see this card having seen that much playing Constructed, because they're just better cards. I mean, it's not bad.
It's not...
And it has a lot of value.
It's good, is the problem. Like, it's it's a weird card. There's a couple of these in Hearthstone which are just like they're good, but they just don't fit anywhere. Like there were so many priest cards before Nax, before Cultist came out and like tied the deck together, where you just look through the priest cards and you're like, good, 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 good. Why is this class bad? Because it was the worst class in the game, and you just look at cards like Shadow Madness and you're like, why is this bad? But no, it was bad because the cards didn't work together. And it kind of feels the same here, where Shieldmaiden is good, and it has synergy. Problem is you can't really tie it into a deck, because there's just, like, you're replacing Sylvanas and Cairn or Black Knight with this, really?
Yeah, I don't see how you can justify running this card over Sylvanas or Cairn or Black Knight.
Like, one of the trio of 6-drops. Like, the trio of 6-drops, which are always good. Well, Cairn is not always good, but the point is Black Knight and Sylvanas are usually quite good. But, like, that's what's happening. There's usually 2 6-drops in the Warrior Control deck.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 if you're pushing it, but there's 2 usually. And usually it's 2 of the 3 legendary 6-drops. So, you're competing with those for this thing. With a Guardian of Kings when you already have Shield Block in the deck.
And it doesn't seem very good in the mirror, because usually the greedier deck wins the mirror. And if they're running Cairn and you're running this card, you're probably going to lose the mirror.
Probably.
I mean, it's just underwhelming.
Cool. The other thing is, it just helps your good matchups. It's like, if you want to be aggro decks, just run Unstable Ghoul.
Yeah. I actually think if I wanted to be aggro, I think I would run Double Brawl over this.
That's actually a fair point. And the other thing that's just really funny against is Shaman. Shaman's like horrible as a matchup, but there's a slight chance of you winning if they don't have an answer to like a Sylvanas or something. And then you play Shieldmaiden, and they're just like, that's cute.
Like, it doesn't do anything against horrible. Like, Warrior's worst matchup is probably Shaman.
Paladin and Shaman, yeah.
Yeah, Shaman and Paladin. And this card doesn't do anything in those.
It actually it helps them because you're not playing the cards that are annoying.
Yeah, if you're running Cairn, Cairn's much more of a threat.
Yeah.
Because they either have to use a Hex on it, or they have to Earthshock and trade into it, and then it gets a lot of value.
Yep.
But this card is just a straight 5/5 that dies to a lot of things pretty easily at turn 6 or 7.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's just... I just don't like it. Like, a lot of people were saying it's terrible. It's not a bad card, it's the stupid thing. It's just, it does not have a place. And what's more annoying about this card is it probably won't have a place. It's like the Chillwind Yeti of 6-drops.
Yeah. Like,
the difference is Chillwind Yeti was played for a bit because the other 4-drops just weren't good. Like, this is like the most vanilla 6-drop I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think it's probably really good in Arena, though.
Well, yeah,
6 mana, 5/5, but in
like,
Constructed, it's just not good enough.
I mean, every single card we've gone over has been okay in Arena for various different reasons, but the main point is you get value. But even in this one, like, I would not take a Shieldmaiden over a Boulder Fist Ogre, not even close. I mean, they're not ever in the same pick, obviously, because rarities. But at that rarity, I mean, if I have this and like 2 other terrible rares, or just okay rares, I'll take this. But you've got like Azure Drakes and Argent Commanders at that similar mana costs. And it feels like the most mid-rangey card in history.
Yeah, it really is like just mid-range. And if you're going for a more tempo deck, it seems like there's way more cards that do more early on, and
you lose tempo when you play this.
Yeah, because you're spending your whole turn to gain 5 life. It doesn't seem that worth it.
Especially in a class that can literally just press the hero power.
Yeah, I mean, people are trying to say, like, it has synergy with Shield Slam. Oh, you play this and you Shield Slam something, but...
On turn 7.
I mean, exactly, it's on turn 7. Like, I'd much rather have Shield Block, Shield Slam on 4.
Yeah, it's like, what do you replace? People immediately said, like, well, you can't replace Shield Block, because Shield Block cycles through your deck and also does not cost 6. But if you replace the 6-drops, you're just stupid. Like, you just don't want to replace the 6-drops.
Yeah, you can't play this over Sylvanas. Sylvanas is, like, one of the best cards in the game.
Yeah,
Like,
although I think Sylvanas is going to get a bit worse because the game is going to get to a point where it's like, oh, you played Sylvanas. Sure, you're dead.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
because as more
but
comes out, the more
but this
decks get
doesn't help.
efficient.
This does not help. But people's like, oh yeah, if you played Sylvanas, you die. If you play Shieldmaiden, they're just like, I'll just kill
You
you
still
next turn.
die.
I'm just going to ignore your
Yeah, like
5/5.
yeah, it's a 5/5 that they can just ignore, and then it does absolutely nothing for you.
It does do something when you play it though. That is something in its favor. Whereas Schnitzel Shredder, like Schnitzel Shredder that a lot of people have been hyping up. I'm just like, but that thing
The
is so
slowest card ever.
slow. Like you play it and you're. The funny thing is when you go up 1 mana and it's like Cenarius and people are like, oh Cenarius is okay and he's a 5/8 and I'm like, yeah, that's because he either kills them, or puts 4 health of taunt on the board.
Yeah,
Like there's a difference here. And the point is you do it when you play it, and that's the main thing. That's why Black Knight is often better than Sylvanas and Karen, because he does something immediately, but Sylvanas has the most swingy effect, and Karen is just annoying.
yeah,
Like,
Sylvanas can bring you back into the game.
it can. This has what I like to call the Karen effect, which is you play it and your opponent's like, I'm just going to ignore it. Like, that's why Sky Golem, a lot of people have been comparing Sky Golem to Karen. Which actually, it works with this conversation actually, because Shieldmaiden will be competing against Sky Golem in tempo decks.
I think I'd rather run Sky Golem.
To be honest, like, the difference is between Karen and Sky Golem is Sky Golem is more like Savannah High Main, where if you ignore a Karen, you take like 4 damage or it trades a bit. If you ignore a High Main, you die very quickly. It hits
Yeah, you're gonna
very
die.
hard.
Like,
Like, it just does. It just hits very hard. The other thing with Sky Golem is it's a mech, so you can maybe get it on turn 5 sometimes. You can put other buffs on it, things like that. So it does have its bonuses. Whereas Shieldmaiden just doesn't. Like, if this wasn't like a gnome and was an actual mech, it still wouldn't be good enough. I don't
Yeah.
think. Because Sky Golem
That's
is
not
just
good.
better still.
I mean, it's good. It's just not good enough to fit in a warrior deck.
I think
There are
if
just
it
better
was
things to run.
pre-Nax Ramus, maybe? No, the metagame was like really slow back then, so if you played a 6-mana 5/5 that gained you 5 life, it was horrible. So yeah, I don't think this has like ever been good in Hearthstone history. Like to a playable extent. That's
Yeah,
kind of depressing.
because even if like it was like the first week of Hearthstone, wouldn't you rather run Boulder Fist Ogre? Like you said.
Yeah, isn't like in Arena, Boulder Fist is better than this. In Constructed, Boulder Fist is.
Probably better.
Are we really going there?
It probably is. I mean, because, like, it's a 6/7. It doesn't die easily.
The funny thing is, Boulder Fist Ogre has seen Constructed play every so often. That's the stupid thing about that. Like, Boulder Fist Ogre is like, yeah, haha, it's a 6/7. The funny thing is, it has seen, like, tournament play.
Yeah.
In good decks every so often as a one-off, but it's. I actually, now I think about it, because you have Shield Block, and you're not going to remove a cycle card from your deck. There's no way. Because you just, like, it does something, but the point is it gets you closer to your win conditions. So, and it's cheaper. So it's just like, why? Someone is
Yeah.
going to play this. It may be good. Like, the funny thing is, someone's going to play this and I'm going to lose to it, but then. And if I'm streaming, I'll say that, and people's like, oh, you thought this card was bad. And I'm like, could you imagine if that was a Sylvanas?
Exactly.
Like, I just would have died. Like, on the spot. So, the funny thing is that if you. This is actually, weirdly enough, a budget alternative. Like, if people are trying to throw together a tempo deck or something, it's a rare. Sky Golem is an epic, and you need the rest of the mech engine from Goblins and Gnomes. And yeah, Sky Golem's an epic. This is a rare, you can craft it immediately, and if you're newer to the game, you can actually just run this as a solid warrior card. That's actually a fair point.
I mean, this card also, I guess it trades with Lotheb. When they turn 5 Lotheb,
This thing's terrible against Lotheb. You play this, like, I've heard this one before, like, if you're going first, your opponent's like Lotheb, you're like Shieldmaiden, they just trade and play another guy, and you're just like,
yeah.
"Grr." And if you're going second, they play Lotheb, you skip your turn, you play Shieldmaiden, they just trade, and then you're taking like 5 or 6 a turn from the rest of the stuff on the board.
Yeah, you fall really behind.
It's just horrible. Like, yeah, actually, that's kind of a deal breaker. Like, Sylvanas is good against Loatheb because if you're going first and you play it in response, if they only have a Loatheb, it's a 1-for-1. And if they have anything else, it steals it. So, like, but that's because it stops their tempo. If they have a Loatheb on the board and they have other stuff on the board, they just trade and then just get rid of all the armor and you basically just skipped your turn and he still developed his board. So, I mean, being bad against the most played card in the game is not good.
Yeah, this card will never go more than 1-for-1, probably ever.
Yeah, the stats aren't big enough.
It's just gonna die. It trade 1-for-1 at best.
Yeah, I don't like it. Whatever. Anyway, moving on to Jeeves.
This card is fun.
Apparently, this has only been played in Paladin decks. I'm just looking at the Hearthstone deck statistics. It's only been played in Paladin. That's funny. But anyway, the Robot Butler is here. He is a 4-mana 1/4 mech. At the end of each player's turn, that player draws until they have 3 cards. Remember when I said Illuminator was overhyped? This thing is, like, beyond overhyped. Like, I'm actually, like... you know what? I actually, I'm tempted just to go on the Jeeves card discussion thread and just read some of this stuff. Because this is, like, ridiculous. There's so many people saying this card is broken.
It's not.
If I just scroll randomly, it's like meta-changing card. Goes in every aggro deck. There's another one which is like Zoo needed more help or something down here. First of all, if you play this in Warlock, I am happy with that. Because then I just play my cards, and then I end my turn and I draw 3. Play more cards. It's, oh my god. So, there's a couple problems with this. First of all, on ladder, if you play this, your opponent is, like, gonna give you a hug. Because they just play their entire hand, end turn, draw 3, and you have the stupid 4-mana 1... You paid 4 mana for your opponent to draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Especially when you're an aggro deck and you want to keep your opponent away from drawing their board clears.
Well, the funny thing is, like, if you're playing at Shaman, Shaman eventually runs out of cards anyway, so they just, like, Lightning Storm, guy, end turn, because the Jeeves will live the storm. That's the funny thing, the Jeeves will live the storm. So you just go, like, if you get a Taunt Totem as well, Taunt Totem, Jeeves lives the storm, draw 3. I mean, control decks won't get anything out of this, but the funniest thing is when you're playing Zoo in the mirror, if you played this, and this is why you don't want to play this in Zoo deck. First of all, you're tapping every turn. Second of all, this costs 4. And third, like, if you play in the mirror, your opponent's just like, tap, card, end turn, draw 3, card, tap, card, draw 3, card, tap. It's just horrible in the mirror. It's horrible against every single aggro deck ever because they get... It's a symmetrical effect. Why is this symmetrical? Did this 4-mana 1/4 really need a drawback?
Yeah, I think it'd be fine as just draw until you have 3 cards in your hand at the end of your turn.
Yeah.
I don't see the problem with that because you're paying 4 mana for it. It's a 1/4.
It's a worse Cult Monster in a lot of situations.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess you could run this in Hunter because the Hunter deck runs out of cards really fast right now. But then if you were to run this card, why wouldn't you just run Cult Master?
Yeah, Unleash Cult Monster is like 4 cards or 5 cards sometimes.
Like, yeah, and Snake Trap, and it just doesn't make sense to play this.
The other problem with playing this in Hunter is Hunter runs out of cards very quickly, but they also hold on to their cards a lot, like Kill Command.
Yeah.
So if you have a Kill Command in your hand, you actually... like, if you draw 2, it's okay. 2 is fine. If you draw 1, your opponent's just like, sure. Nice bad Gnomish Inventor there. And you don't even want Gnomish Inventor in these decks. If you play it for 3 in a mech deck, I could see it. Maybe. I'm saying this now. Like, if you played it in a mech deck and you managed to lower your hand size down before turn 3 and then played this with a Mech Warper or something, then kudos. But that's Magical Christmas Land. Like, this is like coin Mech Warper, turn 2, dump your hand, turn 3 Jeeves. But that's like, that you'd have to top deck it as well, because otherwise you have an extra card in your hand.
Yeah, and then it helps your opponent out, because they could just, like, drop their hand and then they draw cards, and then
Could you
it
imagine
makes
playing
no
this
sense.
against Rogue? You play this against Rogue and they're just like, kill everything that isn't the Jeeves.
Yeah.
And they just end their turn and they're like, oh sweet, more stuff. Because all
Yeah.
their stuff is like 0 cost and 1 cost.
Yeah, like, so, like, against Rogue, if you play this card, they could, like, backstab, SI, prep Evis, something on your board, just for, like, and then they draw until they have 3 cards in their hand, and then they refill their hand, basically. It's, like, almost like an auctioneer.
Because then they have 4 cards in their hand on next turn.
Yeah,
Jeez,
I don't
that's
know.
terrible.
I didn't think this card really needed a drawback.
It's a pretty bad drawback as well. Like, it's really miserable. Like, the upside to this card is the same as the downside. Like, so, the other problem is getting 3 cards. If you get 3 cards, it's really good. If you get 2 cards, it's pretty good. It's like an Arcane Intellect on a 1/4. But if you
But then
draw
Gnomes just becomes
1,
better.
if you draw 1, it's horrible. It's just not worth it if you draw 1. And the problem is, like, you're going to play this, draw 2 cards, and feel really, really happy about it. And if you're not playing against a control deck, they're just going to dump their hand.
Yeah, so cards like Gnomish and Cult Master just seem to be better.
I never thought I'd hear the day when Cult Master was beating a card again.
This card doesn't even kill Cult Master.
That's actually funny. Yeah, it does not trade with Cult Master. Although you
Cult
probably
Master
would
kills
still,
it for free.
you'd probably still run it into the Cult Master to get it off the board.
Yeah.
In Arena, this could be situationally okay, and some, like, if you're running some stupid, like, incredibly low curve. If you get it really late, like 28th pick or something, you have like a million 2-drops. Maybe. But then you may run into the other guy with a million 2-drops, and you just go parity, and you're like, draw 3, and your opponent's like, draw 3, and then draw 3.
I wonder how this works with fatigue.
It draws 3 fatigue cards.
Maybe that's why. So maybe they added a drawback for like mill and fatigue decks.
But the problem is
I
that
don't
mill
know.
fills up your hand, so they're never gonna draw
Yeah.
cards. It's actually like, it's actually kind of funny where there was a guy who was, I can't remember who it was. There was a guy suggesting that you run 2 of these in a control deck as a finisher, against other
finisher.
control decks. Because when they run out of cards, they just draw they draw 6 fatigue and die, and I'm just like, that's too far. That's way too far.
I don't think you can wait till the end of the game to play a card to expect to win.
Not to mention, what happens if you're the one running out of resources?
Oh yeah, then you're gonna fatigue.
You draw first, keep in mind.
Yeah,
You
so
just kill yourself.
I mean, it's kind of I think it'd be like a fun card, kind of, but it's not good at all.
It's not good at all. I mean, it's funny, it's a butler.
Couldn't it be like at least a 2/4? With the drawback? I mean,
yes,
it's not
it
like that
could.
would be overpowered.
It could, yeah, I mean... Yeah, because it has a drawback. If it didn't have a drawback, I'd say this card is not fantastic, but it's okay. Like, if it just said, when you end your turn, you can draw until you have 3, it'd actually be an okay card.
It kind of be like Divine Favor, because like you drop your hand and you play this.
Kind of. Like, you could play it in Paladin as, like, Divine Favors, copies 3 and 4.
But then Divine Favor is still better.
Well, yeah, it is, but the point is, like, you have Sword of Justice in that deck, maybe, as well, possibly, and, like, Blessing of Might, maybe. But the point is, like, the problem is when you play this, and it has the same problem as Divine Favor, where Divine Favor doesn't really draw any cards against aggro decks, and this does draw cards against aggro decks, but then your opponent also draws cards. So it's just, I really don't like this card. I really, really don't. Especially considering things like Hunter, even if they only draw 2 cards off it because they're holding a kill command or something, they have Highmane in their deck. How do you beat Highmane if you're running Jeeves? To, like, fill up your hand
Yeah.
again because you're out of fuel.
And this literally killed nothing on board.
Ever.
It's not going to kill anything.
Could you imagine if your opponent's just, like, your opponent could literally just, Cabal it to keep it on the board.
Yeah. It's
If that actually happens to you, I am so sorry.
it doesn't trade with anything at all. at 4 mana.
Well, no, I mean, it gets eaten by Yeti, it gets eaten by Cultist, it gets eaten by Harvest Golem, it gets eaten by Undertaker, it gets eaten by Zombie Chow.
Yeah. All these cards are
Like,
just better.
it trades with a mad scientist. That's actually just kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like, that body is horrible. It basically trades with anything with 2 life, if it has more than 1 attack. Ugh. But yeah, there's a clarification here. It doesn't automatically kill fatigued people. It looks at your hand, decides how many cards you need, then draws that many.
Oh, okay.
So, people are thinking, oh, you just, like, if you ever fatigue them, they just die. Because they just keep drawing until they get to 3, but they never draw. But no, that's actually not how it works. It checks how much you need and then fills it up. Like, if this said 4 cards, I think it'd be even worse.
Yeah.
Because then Druid deck, like, could you imagine playing against a Druid deck who's like, innervate wild growths and such, and then you give him an out to filling his hand back up?
And they don't even need to draw lore.
Oh god, and then they draw lore off the Jeeves.
And then they draw lore.
That's horrible. Yeah, this card is just not good. Like, why is it symmetrical?
Yeah. At least it's like, I think it should just be refill your hand to 3. And then leave it at that. And then it dies next turn for free,
Just
and then you draw a couple cards off it.
What about this? Just battle cry at the end of your turn, draw until you have 3 cards in your hand.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Like, it's not every turn, so you can't abuse it, but the point is that your opponent doesn't get it.
Yeah, because this card's not going to see play at 4 mana.
Like, if you can get it for 3 mana with a Mech Warper, it's fine, but it's just, like... Mech Warper is already, like, really good, but just because Mech Warper exists does not mean that it can make every single mech card better. The card is already doing overtime with some of the other mechs.
Mech Warper is, like, one of the best cards from the set.
Yeah, the 2 like, it's funny that the 2-drops are, like, ruling the set right now. There's, like, Mech Warper, Shrinkmeister...
Yeah, it's insane. That Mech Warper card is going to be really good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'm glad they didn't make like it. I'm glad they didn't make
glad
like
it's
a
not
one
an
drop.
epic. I'm glad it's not an epic because that would take. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's so annoying getting hold of those things. It's common, I think. So getting hold of Mech Warpers, like I'm gonna open a bunch of packs on the first day, and yes, I'll record a pack opening video because every time I do a pack opening on Twitch, people are like, "Why didn't you just upload it?" And I'm like, "Cause I can't be bothered." But I'll do a pack opening video. But even if I don't get Mech Warpers, which would be astounding considering they're common, you can just craft them for 80. So I'm pretty happy with this. Since we're pretty much done talking about Mr. Jeeves here, I'm actually just gonna quickly go onto the Goblins and Gnomes section of Hearthstone here. Like if you just look at the rarities of the cards that are really looking for, like the legendaries are at the top. Blingatron, no one's gonna play him pretty much. Dr. Boom, maybe in Warrior Control. Thermplug, no. Head, possibly. Shredder, no. Voltron, you don't need to craft. So there haven't been any money legendaries yet.
Yeah, just a bunch of cards that are easy to get.
Yeah, like out of the epics, there's Sky Golem and that's it. Out of the rares, there's a couple. Like, out of the rares, is that all the rares, really? There's, like, that we've seen so far, there's Blast Mage.
Recombobulator's rare, right?
That's an epic, but it'll only see play in Handlock, because you can recombobulate giants, which is just stupid. That's just silly.
Some of the best cards are common.
Yeah, like, Blast Mage is a rare...
Technician.
Exactly. Blast Mage is a rare,
tank.
Repair Bots are rare. But then, once you get from there, like, Gnome, common. Sheep, common. Mech Warper, common. Piloted Shredder, common. Shrinkmeister, common. Technician, Spider Tank. These are all commons. Like...
Yeah, so some of the best cards are common.
This is a really cheap set. So far, at least. We don't know what else there's going to be, but just from what we've seen, there's going to be some really powerhouse commons, which will be pretty easy to get hold of. And, like, obviously there's auto-barbers a common, and the rest of the cards we saw today are all rares. And the one that will see the most play is Barber, which is a common. It's this,
Clockwork Gnome will see a lot of play in decks. That's the common.
it's the replacement to Leper Gnome.
Yeah, it's way better than Leper Gnome.
It's way better, yeah. Like, pretty much everything, from what we've seen, almost every single playable, well, not playable, every single really good card in the spoilers so far is 40 dust.
Yeah, it's gonna be easy to craft.
Like, I know we've only seen a quarter of the cards, but it's still, like, we must have seen at least quite a few of the constructed powerhouses.
Yeah, because a lot of the legendaries are just bad. I mean,
like, Myrmidon's Head is only in one deck. Boom is only in one deck, possibly. Like,
there's that card that's the 9/7 that makes a Leper Gnome. That card's not gonna see play.
yeah, Blingatron won't see play. There's like, in base set, there's a lot of really powerhouse legendaries. In Naxxramas, there was Naxxramas, the rarities didn't really matter, which was kind of hilarious. But, like, if that was an actual set, Loatheb, and that's it, I want to say. Wait, is that actually the only playable legendary out of that set? No, I think about it.
Nax?
Kel'Thuzad is fringe playable. Yeah, that's it. It's just one of them. And out of the epics,
plays Maxina.
now that I think about it, every single powerhouse card in Naxxramas was common as well. Common and rare. Apart from Loatheb. Wow. There's some cheap stuff in the last couple of sets, that's for sure. I mean, in Nax, it didn't actually matter, but just looking at this, like, I guess that's why it affects Arena so much. Because there's just so many, like, powerhouse cards that are lower rarities. We'll have to have a look at that when the whole set comes out, actually. Because some people are going to want to know, like, how much it's going to cost to get the actual set. Like, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So far, this is looking pretty budget, I must admit. But anyway, so, before we sign off for today, 5 cards. Which, out of the 5 cards today, which is the one you think will see the most play? This should be a very easy question.
Probably the Barber.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with that. Worst card we've seen today is probably Jeeves.
Yeah, I agree.
And what's kind of silly is that the rest of them just aren't good.
Yeah. Kind of sad.
Yeah, like, I'm hoping that spell, which we're probably going to get a Shaman one, possibly. I'm hoping that the spell we're going to see on Monday, it's going to be good, because that's an epic.
It probably will be.
I'm hoping, because, like, Barber was the first card we saw this week, and the rest of them have been, like, brutally underwhelming.
Most Shaman spells are really good, so...
well, I play Shaman Control. So if it's a Shaman Control card, I am happy picking it up. But anyway, thanks all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback or just want to talk about the cards randomly, put it in the comment section below. Thanks for coming on, Manuel.
Thank you for having me.
But as for now, this has been Jotto and Manuel, signing off.